The rain has been coming down for hours, a relentless drumming against the window pane that usually soothes me. Tonight, though, it feels different. It's a heavy, oppressive sound, like the world is trying to drown itself. I've been sitting here in the dark, just watching the storm. The occasional flash of lightning illuminating the yard in stark, momentary detail. It's funny how a familiar space can look so alien in a storm. The old oak tree looks like a skeletal hand reaching for the sky. And the garden gnomes, my mom insists on keeping, look like grotesque little gargoyles. I was about to get up, maybe make some tea to chase away the chill, when a particularly bright flash of lightning lit up everything. And that's when I saw it. Far across the yard, near the edge of the woods, stood a figure. It was just a silhouette, impossibly tall and thin against the tree line. My heart did a little stutter step in my chest. It was probably just a trick of the light, my mind playing games on a dark and stormy night, maybe a branch that had fallen in a strange way. I waited, my eyes glued to the spot, but the darkness swallowed it again as quickly as it had appeared. I told myself to relax, that it was nothing. My breath was coming a little faster than it should have, though. I counted the seconds, waiting for the next flash. 1, 2, 3, 4. Flash. The world outside blazed white for a split second, and there it was again, the figure. But it wasn't by the woods anymore. It was in the middle of the yard. It hadn't moved, not in the way people move. It was just closer. My blood ran cold. This wasn't a trick of the light. It was real. The shape was more defined this time, though still just a black cutout against the illuminated rain. Long, spindly limbs, a torso that seemed to narrow, no discernible features. Just a terrifying, unnatural stillness. My mind said, who would be out in this weather? And why were they just standing there? I fumbled for my phone on the table beside me, my fingers clumsy and shaking. I needed to call someone. The police. The police. What would I even say? There's a tall, scary person standing in my yard, and I think they'd think I was crazy. Another flash of lightning, closer this time, the thunder rattling the windows in their frames. I flinched, my eyes squeezed shut. When I opened them, I forced myself to look. It was closer still. Now it stood by the old bird bath, halfway between the woods and my house. I couldn't breathe. It felt like a band was tightening around my chest. My phone felt like a lead weight in my hand, but I couldn't seem to make my fingers work. I was paralyzed, trapped behind this pane of glass, watching this nightmare unfold. Every instinct screamed at me to run, to hide, to get away from the window, but I couldn't look away. It was like I was in a trance, held captive by this silent, approaching dread. The rain was a torrent now, blurring the world outside. I could barely make out the yard, but I knew it was still there. I could feel its presence. I stared into the watery darkness, my own reflection a pale, terrified ghost on the glass. The air in the room was thick and heavy. The silence between the thunderclaps was deafening. I waited. The seconds stretched into an eternity. I was beginning to think, to hope, that maybe it was gone. Maybe it had all been a hallucination brought on by the storm and an overactive imagination. Then, the sky tore open. A blinding, searing flash of lightning struck a tree just beyond the yard, so bright it hurt my eyes. The thunder was instantaneous, a deafening crack that shook the entire house. In that brilliant, prolonged moment of pure white light, the figure was no longer in the yard. It was right there. Its face was pressed against the window. Eat that noise, no nose, just a gaping, black hole of a mouth stretched into a silent scream. And in the dark, empty sockets where its eyes should have been, I saw my own terrified reflection, staring back at me from the abyss. The light died, and the world plunged back into absolute darkness. But I know it's still there. I can hear the scratching,